So we have talked a lot about what Donald Trump's lawyers have said in their court filings. We have talked about what Donald Trump's lawyers have said in media interviews, because God knows you can't go a day without seeing at least one of his lawyers in the national media. They love the attention, which of course is why I think people like Alina Habba took this case to begin with, because she enjoys being on TV. But there is something very important that Donald Trump's lawyers have not said in their court filings, that by not saying it actually tells us everything we need to know. So before I get to what they're not saying, let's talk about what they and of course Donald Trump are saying. Donald Trump insists, he swears up and down, and he says it multiple times a week, usually on Truth Social, that he declassified all those documents that were down there at Mar-a-Lago. We have had his attorneys say on television only, that he declassified the documents. But not once in a single legal filing have his lawyers claimed that he declassified these documents. And yes, that is a huge thing. The fact that they will go out there and say it in the media, but they don't put it in the legal filings, which if you lie in a legal filing, you get held in contempt, by the way. You also could end up losing your law license. But if you say it on TV, nothing happens. You don't get in trouble at all. So the fact that they will say it on TV, but not in a legal filing, that's the thing, folks. That's what they're not saying, and that's what tells us everything. It tells us, about as clear as you can say it, that Trump is lying about declassifying these documents. Now, we all already know that. I honest to God don't think there's anybody watching this video who says, no, he totally declassified them, unless you accidentally ended up here from some weird conservative site. But even people at the DOJ, people from the Trump administration have said, like, yeah, I was there. That never happened. He didn't declassify these things. So we have witnesses that it didn't happen. No witnesses saying it did. Just a bunch of weirdos taking Donald Trump's word for it. But again, it's never in the legal filings, including the 21-page filing they submitted yesterday. They said this, however. There still remains a disagreement as to the classification status of the documents. The government's position, therefore, assumes a fact not yet established. It assumes a fact not yet established. There's a disagreement over the classification status of these documents. But they're still not coming forward and saying, my client declassified these documents, right? If they did say that, right, they could say, look, he declassified them. We move to dismiss. You can't charge him with anything because he declassified. But they're not doing it because they know he didn't. That little sentence, that little paragraph that I just read from their filing tells us that they are not confident in saying that he declassified. Instead, they're putting it on the DOJ. You have to prove they were not declassified, instead of saying we'll prove that they're declassified. Now, in the end, if this thing goes to a real trial, it's not going to matter. It'll be a he said, she said kind of thing. It's going to be hearsay. The jury is either going to be instructed to not listen to that, or they're going to be swayed by the fact that there's no material witnesses to be able to show that Donald Trump did declassify the documents. Either way, it's a losing battle for him. But pay attention, folks, to what his lawyers are not saying in their legal filings, because more often than not, that's going to say much more than the actual words they do use.
This is Hattie. Hattie wants to know why you have not subscribed to our channel. You obviously like our videos, so do us a favor and subscribe.